Today on our 2015 Ram 2500, you're going to be taking a look at, I'm going to show you how to install the SumoSprings Solo Custom Helper Springs for the rear axle. Part number SSR-312-47. It's going to take the place of your factory bump stop. Springs are going to work independently, side to side. They're also going to have a progressive load control. What that means is it's going to work with how heavy or light your load is in your vehicle. The lighter the load, the softer the spring is going to compress it first. The heavier the load, the stiffer it's going to be. It's just to make that ride a little bit more enjoyable with your heavier loads. The good thing about these is, unlike some of your airbags that may need to be installed, you don't have to monitor these. You don't have to, there's no maintenance with them. You don't have to watch your air, add air or decrease the air. You simply bolt them on and you leave them in. There's not going to be any welding or drilling required. It's going to use the factory bolts and factory holes. It's going to come with the necessary hardware, which is the 3 plates that are going to be pre-installed on the spring. Another nice thing about these springs, unlike your airbags that compress when they're compressed, they move out. These compress vertically, straight up and down. We have minimal space between the bottom of our spring and our bump stop plate or axle plate. What this is going to do, this is going to help reduce body roll and sway when the back of our vehicle is loaded down. We need to take a measurement to find out what our normal ride height is without any weight in the back of the vehicle. What we're going to do is we're going to measure from here straight down the center of the wheel to the ground. Here at the back wheels we're right at about 43 inches. Now let's do the same thing with the front. Here at the front, we're at 40.5. Now it's a good idea to take note of those measurements. Now we've added about 1,500 pounds to the back of our truck. Let's go ahead and take that measurement again on the front and the back of the vehicle. Again, center of the wheel to the bottom edge here. Looks like we're at about 41, so we've dropped our back 2 inches. Let's take a measurement in the front and see if our front raised. It looks like our front is about the same at 40.5. Now, that's only with 1,500 pounds on it. If we add more weight, the front of that is going to raise up more. What that's going to do, cause our headlights to raise, not facing the road. It's going to make our steering really light. It's going to affect our braking, and it's going to make our tires wear unevenly. With a heavy load in the back of the vehicle, and without a suspension upgrade, what this is going to do, it's going to cause our rear axle to make up for what our suspension can't handle. It's going to put unnecessary stress on our rear axle, causing issues down the road. First thing we need to do is we need to raise up our vehicle and let our axle hang. On each side we're going to have a bump stop. We're going to have a bolt on each side. We're going to take a 15mm socket. We're going to remove those bolts and remove our bump stop. Next, we're going to take one of our SumoSprings. It's going to have a pre-assembled bracket on it. We need to take that off, so we're just going to twist it counterclockwise and remove it. And then we need to separate these brackets, so we're going to need a 7/32 Allen wrench to remove this bolt. Go ahead and take off the plate and that spacer. Next, you want to take some of your blue included Threadlocker. You're going to use your factory bolts that you took out. You're going to put a little drop right on the ends. You're going to take your plate and you're going to bolt your new plate into place. We'll go ahead and tighten that down. And we're going to take this included spacer that we took off and the bottom bracket, and we're going to reinstall them back on the bracket we just installed onto our frame rail. Make sure this rounded edge is facing the back. Take your SumoSpring, and we'll thread it on. And we're going to repeat that same process for the other side. Now we'll take another measurement now that we have our springs installed. If you remember correctly, we were at 43 inches normal ride height before our springs and before weight. Once we added the weight before the springs were installed, we were at 41 inches. We've actually brought the back of our vehicle up a 1/2 inch. Now, even though we can't make any manual adjustments with these springs, once they're installed, there's no maintenance, but it's going to greatly reduce the amount of stress that our axle is taking with the heavy load. That'll do it for a look at and installation on the SuperSprings SumoSprings Solo Custom Helper Springs for the rear axle, part number SSR-312-47 on our 2015 Ram 2500.